イベント大会の参加登録が混んでて参っちゃった。
So, Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet is the latest in a growing series of games using that anime as the basis. This one's a little bit different to previous Sword Art Onlines, where the previous ones were all single-player MMOs, is the best way to describe them. This one is more a single-player Destiny-style game, in that it's all about the shooting action and the loot grind and all that kind of thing. And it has that kind of structure that Destiny fans would be pretty familiar with. Obviously, this one then goes and puts an anime aesthetic over the top and has anime style story to play through. So I think it's pretty clever by the developers to do this. Obviously, Destiny is a very popular game. Obviously, Destiny's been very influential, and a lot of other games have adopted Destiny's style. So for Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet to do that is a clever thing. I mean, you can't deny the popularity of the approach to gameplay, but for anime fans who maybe want a more kind of anime style game than what Destiny offers, there is this one. And for people who like the shooting action but don't necessarily like playing online a whole lot, such as myself, being able to play this kind of game in single player is certainly appealing. I have a review for this game coming early next week. I'm in the process of working through it now. It's a fairly chunky game, of course. But in the meantime, I've pulled together a video just showing you some of the early parts of the game, just so you can get a sense of what it's about, and just so I can start to give you some impressions and start to talk about it, because it is enjoyable. I've played all the Sword Art Online games, and I've got to say that this one is hooking me in more than those other ones, I think. I don't know why, really. I'm not a fan of Destiny itself, but yeah, for some reason I'm quite enjoying my time with this one. I think it's, you know, I'm obviously familiar with the characters and the basic idea that, you know, the story's all about people from the real world interacting with one another through their avatars in a video game MMO style environment. So everybody in this game is a character of a character in the real world, or in the anime real world. It's all very meta, it's all very self-referential, and kind of throws in a lot of terms about, you know, MMO style gameplay, online gameplay, communities, all that kind of stuff. It's all part of this, but ultimately it plays just like a standard shooter, and yeah, it's enjoyable, it's clean. At the moment, the gun that I've got at the moment, the one that I'm using, doesn't have a great sense of feel to it. It doesn't feel like, you know, a Destiny, for example, does, in terms of the kind of the kickback of the gun and the visceral feel of shooting a gun. It doesn't have that, but it has the grind down pat. It's got a nice mix of exploration through a kind of open world. It's not really an open world. It's got a hub world thing that you can explore, and within that hub world there are dungeons to go into, such as the one that you're seeing on the screen in front of you right now. And in those dungeons you get to, you know, work your way through, eventually unlock an end boss, and then take on that end boss. Unfortunately for me, with this first dungeon that I went through, defeating the end boss activated a trophy, which, if you use a PS4, you would know means that you can't save the video very easily anymore. So the boss battles in this game are quite good. I quite enjoyed them. I've been enjoying them because they're you know, the bosses are pretty chunky, take a bit of work to defeat, and there's a good sense of challenge through the game, which is what you want, of course. You go into each, you can take up to 3 AI allies into battle with you, and you can play 2 different types of gameplay mode, I guess. There's PvE, which is what you're seeing in front of you now. Now, PvE is an MMO term for player versus environment, where all the enemies are obviously AI opponents, and that's where the story mode of most MMOs are. The game also has PvP built into it, and that is where you kind of take on other players. And yeah, obviously, again, this is all done within a single player context, so they're all AI controlled, but it has that aesthetic of an MMO, and it has the different kind of gameplay styles that an MMO expresses. So, yeah, I can't even tell you if there is an actual multiplayer in the game. I can't remember, to be honest. I think there is. I'm sure there is. I won't spend much time with it if there is, because, again, that's not the way I like to play. And one of the reasons that I didn't really get into Destiny was that I'm just not a big fan of playing games online, other than a very select few, like Final Fantasy 14 or whatever, where you don't have a choice. And I got into the game for other reasons. I kind of put up with the fact that you have to be online and play with other people. But generally speaking, I like to play my game single player. So again, that's the kind of appeal of this one to me. It gives me a chance to play that shooter experience while not having to deal with the online nonsense. And other than that, there's not much I can say right now. I haven't really got deep into the loot grind. There is experience levels, and you've got quite a bit of customization, I think. It seems like there's quite a bit of customization that you can do to your characters. There's all these skills you can unlock as well. So I think down the track it'll be a fairly strategic combat system. In the early stages it's not. It's like with any other game, really. It's quite straightforward. So I'm looking forward to getting further into it. I hope that people who played this previous Sword Art Online games look at this one, even though it is a different kind of genre, because it will feel still quite familiar, and you'll get right into it. And yeah, it's one to look forward to my review of next week, I think. So thanks for watching and listening, and we will see you at the next one.